Hi, it's Jo from Minerva. Welcome along to a quick sewing tutorial today on stitch in the ditch. You might have seen that phrase in a pattern and wondered what it was. Well, it's when you sew from the right side of the fabric on a seam, and you sew everything behind it all together, and it stops facings flapping out or cuffs rolling down or necks rolling out. Stitch in the ditch is useful if you're applying facings. So on this top I've got facings inside, and to stop the facing rolling out under the arm, so here this is the arm, to stop it flapping out from the right side I've sewn in that little sort of space between the one seam and the back seam, the front seam and the back seam, so right down that center line there, and it grabs everything from behind and sews all of that down as well. So that's one place you might use it. Another place is on a cuff. So this is a Tilly Cocoa pattern, but I added cuffs, but I didn't want the cuffs to keep rolling back down or flopping down. So from the right side, I've sewn through all of the layers, all the way through to the other side. So now my cuff stays up, and I got it all lined up nicely, and it's holding down all of those layers. Another place you might stitch in the ditch is on a waistband. So this is the Brumby skirt, and once I'd applied the waistband, I then put the waistband facing on the inside, and then from the right side I stitched in the ditch all the way along here, so in the ditch between the waistband and the gathers, and it needed to be really close in there because I didn't want it touching the waistband, the seam line, and I didn't want the sewing line squashing down my gathers. So this place here is where I'm going to show you the sewing technique that I used. This is a stitch in the ditch foot if you've got one in your pot. It's a normal foot, and then it's got a blade running up the middle, and that blade is like a surfboard fin, and it goes along the seam that you're sewing, and it keeps it sort of divided open so that you're sewing in that dip in that little blade is creating. It doesn't cut, it's just parting the seam a little bit so that you can sew in the middle. If you don't have one of those, when you're sewing, you need to just keep the pressure of the two pieces of fabric apart so that you can sew right down the middle. You need to go quite slowly, and you need to have a stitch length that's not skipping along, because that will sort of make you jump onto your waistband or jump too far into your garment. I'm going to stitch now along from the right side, right along the edge of the waistband. I have actually put my stitch in the ditch foot in. If you've got one, they're really quite useful. Well, I hope that's helped you with the phrase stitch in a ditch, and if you see that on a pattern now, you'll know exactly what to do. Come back soon for some more short tutorials. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.